Nithyananda, let's go ahead with part 8 of the Bhagavad Gita Decoded by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam Nithyananda Paramashivam. Reading part 8 from page 75. Let's start with the Sadguru Vandanam, invoking Swamiji into our space with the head, neck, and spine in a straight line, the hands to the Anjali Mudra. Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasatrisham Tattvamasyari Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Let's go ahead with page 74, Arjuna's Dilemma and 4 Identities. Arjuna's Dilemma and 4 Identities. In this first chapter of Gita, Arjuna Vishada Yogaha, we see Arjuna, the most courageous fighter amongst the Pandava princes, the darling of all his teachers and a close friend of Krishna, in deep dilemma, deep incompletion. Arjuna is both the yogi and the kshatriya. As a yogi, he is deeply spiritual centered and complete within himself, and deeply aware and integrated to his moral and ethical obligations. As the kshatriya, Arjuna is the warrior leader, empowered with responsibility, ready to avenge, ready to impose order and control for protecting and upholding dharma. He is the typical kshatriya prince. Only with enlightenment is it possible to continuously, consistently proceed with both these personalities of inner completion as a yogi and outer responsibility to enrich as a warrior leader without faltering. Arjuna falters as he faces his enemies on the battlefield of the great Mahabharata war. His dilemma unfolds. Arjuna's dilemma is such that he is now able to be neither a yogi nor a kshatriya. Known as Parantapa, the destroyer of enemies, as Vijaya, the undefeatable warrior, and as Dhananjaya, the unconquerable archer, the winner of wealth, Nara Arjuna, the best among men, loses his detachment as a yogi. In turn, he loses his courage as a kshatriya, a warrior hero. He loses his space of completion and falls into such deep grief that bewilders his mind. Brahmateva chame marnaha, and burns his sense coverings twak chaiva paradayate. He sees his enemies and identifies himself with them. In front of him are his mentors, family, and friends, his swayanam. They are his extensions, his lineage, and his inner identity. He can no longer pretend with his outer identity that he is the ultimate warrior, the kshatriya, who can dispassionately dispatch them to death. Arjuna's dilemma is the dilemma of humanity. It represents the collective root patterns of humanity. It is an internal conflict between what we feel as us, what we feel we can actually do, Our inner identity, mamakara, what we project as us to others, what we feel we want to actually do, or outer identity, ahamkara, what others think and perceive as us, anyakara, and what we think about life and others, or what we perceive as our value systems and beliefs, our swanyakara. Please listen. You don't have just one identity, as you imagine. You have 4 identities. At all times, you carry 4 identities or dimensions together. Your own expectation about you is mamakara, your inner image. It is the inner idea and the experience you carry about yourself, like I am healthy, I am ugly, I am intelligent, I cannot tolerate hard work, I love people, etc. But the idea you carry about you is always less than what you project yourself to be for others. The second identity is how you show or project yourself to others, called ahamkara, your or outer image. Unfortunately, what you project is always far more than what you believe yourself to be. The third identity you carry is the image that others have about you, how others expect you to be, called anyakara or others image. How others perceive you may be different from how you project yourself to them, because people create their opinion about you from the subtle signals you give them rather than what you openly project. Humans are intelligent enough to catch even what you don't say, or especially what you don't say. And the fourth identity is very subtle because it is not directly related to you. It is how you experience life to be for you and what you expect others to be, called svanyakara or life image. For example, you may feel life is lonely, life is complicated, or life is sacred, or life is scary, or life and people are always showering me with everything. Please understand, this is also your identity because it defines the exact experience you will be receiving from the people and situations from life. Please listen. Living in your peak capacity in all the 4 identities, aligning your life to all the 4 dimensions, and expressing your peak potential in all these 4 is authenticity, Shraddha. It is the confusion, the non-alignment between all these identities that is responsible for all our dilemmas, our inauthenticities, or our sufferings, everything. What is the only obstruction for this alignment? Our root thought patterns. Understand that I am defining root thought patterns. Pattern. The first attack of any strong emotion happening in us and imbalancing our whole cognition, giving birth to our mind, the pattern we develop from that moment is root thought pattern. The root thought pattern is the source of our every response to life. Arjuna understood his Kshatriya code of conduct and responsibility very well. This code demanded that he cannot turn down a righteous challenge to fight. This Kshatriya code was not only his ahamkara or outer image, how he showed himself to others, but also the anyakara or others image also, how his clan expected him to be. However, his own feeling about him, his mamakara, was based on his deep-rooted attachment to his clan and lineage that proved stronger than his ahamkara, what he perceived and projected to be his responsibilities. These doubtful feelings were far stronger then code of his conduct, and empowered even his outer image, which he projected as the most powerful and responsible warrior on the face of earth. In effect, Arjuna's life image, or Svanyakara, became seeing life as a cause of just the opposite of auspiciousness, clearly saying how he perceives his life. He cries out, Nimitani cha paschamyami viparitani keshava. I see only causes of misfortune, O Keshava. With all these non-aligned four identities, Arjuna is unable to stand any longer on the warfield. His powerless inner image, a deep self-doubt about himself that arise from his root patterns, make him derive power from his people, Svanyanam, and identify himself only through them. Arjuna's root thought patterns were primal. His self-doubts were self-destroying. They related to survival issues, identity issues that totally imbalanced his whole cognition and made him powerless. By his killing clan members, he was in effect destroying a part of himself. No code of conduct was worth that destruction. Arjuna's incomplete part of Mamakara, his inner identity, which was his own idea about himself, overpowered all his other identities. That was his dilemma, the root of his incompletions and his self-doubt, the root of his root patterns. Each of us is caught in such a dilemma and powerlessness at one time or the other. We are taught to follow certain societal rules and regulations on which our identity is built upon. As long as our basic desires born out of inner identity, Mamakara, are in tune with our outer identity, Ahamkara, that we project, we have no problems, no confusion, and no dilemma. We are authentic, we are complete. However, our dilemmas start when what we seek in the path we need to follow to achieve them violate these rules and regulations. And what we truly seek to realize is rooted in our Mamakara, which we have not been ready to listen to, which we are constantly suppressing. Everyone without exception has incompletions. The patterns of innate fear, guilt for violating the rules and regulations of religion, philosophy, and society. That guilt is sin. And we fear that unknown and unseen forces will rise against us to punish us for these violations. Desire versus guilt is our dilemma always. In almost all cases, if the root patterns of desire are strong enough, desire wins. Rules and regulations can wait, we say. Worst come worse. We can always work out some means of appeasing these godly forces. We think, after all, what are temples and priests for? Such is the genesis of religious guidelines and societal regulations. Some religions are based only on such guidelines without any intelligent reasoning to support the regulations. It is almost as though they are established so that we break them and feel guilty. Once we feel guilty, we are caught. No, I tell you, the first quality one should see before taking up any religion or lifestyle is, in that philosophy, ask, what is the introduction giving to you about you? Whether to practice a religion or philosophy or not, the scale should be the first line. What is the introduction you are given about you? how that philosophy cognizes you. Gita introduces you to yourself as whole. Understand there are 4 kinds of religions or philosophies. Philosophy that encages you, philosophy that enslaves you, philosophy that engages you, and philosophy that enriches you. The philosophy that encages you makes you animal. You are neither useful to others nor useful to you. All philosophies that make you fanatic, that encage you, are terrorist philosophies. When you are encaged, you become fanatic. Next come the enslaving philosophies, where the introduction about you is completely enslaving. They do not make you a terrorist, but you become a slave. Ideologically, you do not have freedom, independence. You are no more fresh. Then come the philosophies that engage you. They tend to convince you with dialogue. The more and more you get engaged, the more and more you get attracted. Then come the philosophies that enrich you. For that, I will give the example of the traditions of Agores, the tradition of Advaitis, the tradition of yogis and siddhas. Yoga, Siddha, Agori, and of course Vedanta, Sankhya Yoga. All these philosophies are very powerful, enriching philosophies because Vedanta introduces yourself to yourself as Amritasya Putra, children of immortality, with a beautiful declaration of completion. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. It means out of the whole came out of the whole. Even if the whole is removed from the whole remains as whole. Please understand, humans, because of the societal upbringing with rules and regulations, with do's and don'ts, suffer a gap between the inner image mamakara and the outer image ahamkara. The gap between the inner image and outer image creates a deep self-doubt. This self-doubt is Arjuna's dilemma. So understand, whenever the gap between the inner image and outer image is established in us, we suffer with self-doubt. This self-doubt leads to self-hatred and then self-denial. Some philosophies teach us that we are the sinners, which is self-denial. Some philosophies teach that we are the slaves, that we are supposed to be the followers. This is nothing but self-hatred. These philosophers exploit our root thought pattern of self-doubt by introducing ourselves to ourselves as sinners. In the spiritual sense, there is no such thing as sin, nothing that is totally good or bad. When you become truly complete, you realize that there are no sins. Vedanta is the only honest, integrated, authentic, responsible, and enriching philosophy, which does not exploit our self-doubting pattern and which reminds us, even when we feel that we are removed from the whole, we remain as whole. Even when we have self-doubt, understand we are the self. Even when you have self-doubt, you are self. Self-doubt is only self-doubt. This should be the scale, the introduction we should be given about us to ourselves. What kind of an introduction a philosophy gives to us about us only based on that we can classify that philosophy, whether it is encaging or enslaving or engaging or enriching philosophy. The whole Vedanta system is all about enriching. The whole Bhagavad Gita Shastra is all about enriching. It is the whole greatest enriching philosophy that introduces you to yourself as the self. Please listen. Whatever happens to us happens as a result of natural laws or dharma. Dharma means the natural law of the cosmos, morality, ethics, orders, and rules and regulations vary from time to time. They change by geography, from country to country, and from society to society. But the science of completion, living Advaita, non-duality, living with the four spiritual principles of life, the Dharma of integrity, authenticity, responsibility, and enriching self and others, is an absolute principle. Patanjali, the founding father of yoga, declares this Dharma as Svaryam Bayam Sarvabho Nya Vrataya. It is universal. Completion makes us realize the space of Advaita, that we are deeply connected and in oneness with the whole, and only then true compassion flowers. The realized ones flow with this realization of Advaita, constantly giving life to this Dharma. When one has compassion for humanity, for every living being, the same compassion that one feels for oneself, one can do no harm to another. There can be no sin, and therefore there is no guilt either. Arjuna's progress on this path of Dharma unto his self-discovery to re-establish himself in the space of completion is the path of Bhagavad Gita. That can also be our path of Dharma if we internalize the message of the Gita. When there is no conflict between what we feel as us, what we wish to be for us and for others, what we project ourselves to be, and what others feel about us and wish from us, then we have no dilemma, no incompletion. When we are complete with our root thought patterns and we act in total completion, we have no dilemma. We are established in the space of completion, living Advaita. Please understand, all of us are born with pre-existing desires. This is called Parata karma. Parapta karma. Those desires that we choose to complete when we take birth. They carry their own energy for completion in that lifetime. The trouble is that the time between death and the next birth is quick and painful. The body-mind system lapses into unconsciousness, a coma, as the energy leaves matter, the body. As the energy enters another piece of matter, another body, mind, the memory of Parapta karma is erased. Therefore, when we are reborn in another body, we no longer remember why we were born or with what desires and purpose we have chosen this birth. This non-remembrance of our great why, our true desires and purpose, creates the self-doubt in us. This is the root cause of our dilemma. This is the root of our root pattern. Incarnations and enlightened beings choose a conscious birth out of their energy of completion with full awareness of their reason for birth. They know what they are here for. They have no confusion, no dilemma, no patterns. Arjuna is not at that stage, nor are most of us. Fortunately, it is possible to become aware of our prarabdha karma, our opening balance of desires. We can then work towards their completion during each life without accumulating more karma in this lifetime. Agamiya karma is the current amount of desires that we accumulate this lifetime. By exhausting the prarabdha, the incompletions that we brought with us to complete, and by not accumulating more agamiya, we reduce the overall account of total karmas that we collect over millions of births. This total account is called sanchita karma. These karmas or unfulfilled desires are also referred to as samskaras or mula vasanas, the root thought patterns stored in our unconscious space, stirring up these desires. They are also called vasanas or conflicting patterns, which in turn create the desires and store them as incomplete memories. These three words can be used interchangeably for all practical purposes, although they do have separate, deeper meanings. By understanding the nature and types of samskaras or mula vasana, and karma, root patterns, conflicting patterns, and incompletions that we carry over into this birth, we can work towards their completion when our stock of root patterns diminishes. In the Inner Awakening program, these karmas are directly addressed. The participants learn and get initiated into the science of completion, Purnatva, to live with the four sacred life principles. Chatur Tattvas: integrity, authenticity, responsibility, and enriching. They experientially learn to complete with their samskaras, root thought patterns that motivates their behavior. Why they do what they do, how to complete these karmas. We begin to understand our opening balance of desires in this life, the karmas we accumulate during this lifetime, and how to complete and release them while alive, and how to create our own reality by living enlightenment, Jivan Mukti. The science of completion and creation is also the process of yoga, the yoga shastra that Krishna takes Arjuna through in these 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. These teachings are not meant for Arjuna alone. They are meant for us, so that we complete with our dilemmas and self-doubts, drop everything and surrender to existence and experience the ultimate truth of enlightenment, liberation, moksha. The Gitopanishad, the science of Krishna consciousness, is the science of completion, Purnatva, which is the science of eternal bliss, Nithyananda. Let's end the session with a Purna mantra and continue with the next part. Let's sit straight with the head, neck, and spine in a straight line, the hands to the Anjali Mudra, offering our deepest, deepest gratitude to beloved Bhagavan, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Bhagavatri Nithyananda Paramashiva Paruka Panamastu. Om Nithyananda. Everyone, thank you for listening. See you next time.